Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Give folks a minute to log on, or you can catch it later. This is our sometimes Monday, sometimes Tuesday, depending on my clinic schedule, follow-up. We call it Going Deeper. It's just a short follow-up, drilling down a little bit on from Sunday's sermon. So here's a question. Are you techie people? Before we do our Going Deeper follow-up. So Rhonda, good morning to you. Jen, good morning to you. So riddle me this. I don't understand this. And when Brenda is recording the services, this happens sometimes. We don't know what it means. So like it says, Rhonda Joe Paul, it has your comment, good morning. And then under it, it says, Rhonda Joe Paul is watching. And then it says, bring them on camera underneath in blue. So I'm wondering, like, if I hit that, is everybody going to see you instead of me? And depending on what you're doing, that could be really bad, you know? Did not go well. But I don't know what that does. So before I do it and humiliate somebody, maybe one of my techie people can tell me what that means when you're doing a live recording and it says so-and-so is watching, bring them on camera, because I really want to try it, but I don't want to overstep and, you know. That could be so funny, though. Oh, shoot. Hope you're not watching in the bathroom. No, I don't know. That'd be a really dangerous, goodness. Maybe we're the only ones that can see them. Like, I would hope that the recorder is the only person that could see them and they're not actually going on live video. As funny as that would be. All right. Well, anyway, good morning to you guys. Whoever is watching or may jump on, may make it like a Zoom call. Maybe. Oh, maybe. But I wonder if you would have to give permission. Like if I hit it, if you would then have to say, yes, bring me on cam. I don't know. Somebody's going to tell me. Rhonda's going to ask Jason later, the computer guru, and he's gonna enlighten us on all things techie. All right, guys. So anyway, going deeper. So we're going to go deeper from yesterday. Try to keep it short. That's what we attempt to do around here on our follow-ups. So we just started talking about the gifts of the Spirit. Dun, dun, dun. And as you know, or may know, maybe you don't know. I mean, if you're completely new to church, or if you know the gifts of the Spirit have been a part of your church background, then you know it's not a big deal. But in a lot of places, talking about the gifts of the Spirit can be a really controversial topic. Creates a lot of arguments. It creates fear. It creates splits, and it's totally not necessary. The Bible is so clear. It just is. It's so clear on the gifts and what they are and how they're to be used properly to avoid all this stuff. That's what part of what 1 Corinthians was all about. Paul was just kind of coming in and cleaning up the mess, right? There had been a mess, and he says, all right, look, the gifts are good. The way you're using them's bad. Let me clean this up and show you how to do it right. I mean, that's basically 1 Corinthians 12, 13, 14. That's what that's all about. But anyway, here's what I want us to think about today. I want to mix in talking about the gifts of the Spirit with the idea of humility. So there's this phenomenon. I have seen it in church, but it's kind of like a psychological phenomenon with people in general. The first way you hear something, particularly in your formative years, the first way you hear something is typically the way that you see it forever. Unless some kind of major shift happens in your mind, right? So however you see something is that those are the lenses that you pretty much see through forever. And if that gets challenged, typically, rather than examining the challenge, our instinct is to become immediately defensive. We can work past that defensiveness, but that's the instinct. So like in church, typically, other people have written about this, I've seen it, like if someone gets saved in a particular church, in a particular denomination, in their first year of discipleship happens in this church, most likely the idiosyncrasies of that church, the way they worship, the style of music, hymns or choruses, piano or a rock band, like their theology on the gifts of the Spirit, their theology on atonement, like their theology on evangelism, like most of the time, like where someone gets saved, the church they get saved in, and where they're discipled, that's pretty much the lens they look through the rest of their lives, unless that gets really, really challenged. And usually if that gets challenged, the immediate response is defense, right? Fight back. Right? Instead of listening and considering, it's just immediately Judy chop, right? You just fight it off. So it's important to understand that as we grow in Jesus, okay? To be able to take what you have been taught and weigh it against challenges takes a lot of humility, right? And sometimes when you do that, you see that, hey, those challenges are nonsense, and what I have been taught is absolutely spot on true, right? Hey, Frankie! But sometimes you see that. Frankie's got the bring them on camera button too. Never mind, Frankie. Okay, but sometimes those challenges are legit, and we need the humility to look at them. So I'm reading this book. It's called The Free Methodist Way. All right, our denomination is called the Free Methodist Church. They just published, our leaders did, this book called The Free Methodist Way. And basically it talks about the 5 distinctive values that shape the Free Methodist denomination. In fact, I think I'm probably going to use this in our membership classes from here on out instead of the pages and pages out of the discipline. So for those of you who had to endure that, sorry, this is probably going to be the new one. But anyway, what I think is fascinating is that the humility that our bishops, our board of bishops, show. So like in this first chapter, the first distinctive for Free Methodist denomination church is life-giving holiness, right? And so Bishop Linda Adams writes the first little article under that heading. And one of the first things she does as a leader of the denomination, a bishop, is to admit where our denomination has missed it in places. Do you understand how much humility that takes? Like, my respect level for somebody at that level of leadership that can do that and admit that in print and correct it, you have no idea. But like she says at the outset, we need to admit that those of us who have been in this denominational family for many years have at times seen a pursuit of holiness that was not life-giving. If we picture the highway of holiness winding through varied terrain with generations of Free Methodists traveling along it, describing it and teaching others about it, we'll notice some veering off into the ditch of legalism. Like, that's a huge thing to admit that. That just takes a lot of humility to say, all right, this is an area where we went off the rails, we got it wrong, and now we see where we were wrong, and we are moving toward a more life-giving way. I mean, that's incredible. She's talks about sanctification in the same way, where there were some issues there with how sanctification was presented. I just think it's amazing. But here's a paragraph that I want to get to. And I want you to know, I think this is cool, that I read this after I began this series on the fruit and the gifts. So this was not the catalyst for that. But listen to this paragraph. And then I'm going to try to wrap it up pretty quick. The New Testament expresses the evidence of the Spirit's presence both in terms of fruit, Galatians 5, and gifts, 1 Corinthians 12, 7-11. Wow, isn't that cool? We affirm the reality and necessity of both and long for our churches to be alive to the Spirit, so that both are clearly evident. Wow, that's crazy. You wouldn't have heard that in the Free Methodist Church a couple decades ago. As experienced in the book of Acts and taught throughout the New Testament, God's Spirit has been poured out so that believers can experience His supernatural presence. Spirit-filled believers receive power for worship, witness, proclamation, prayer, and service, sometimes accompanied by miracles. Both the fruit of the Spirit and the gifts of the Spirit are given to manifest the glory of God. I think that's incredible. And the reason I think it's incredible is because of the amount of humility that it takes for a leader, board of bishops, of a denomination, to say, dude, we had an incredible start. We got off track in some areas. We are owning it. And now we are moving in the more biblical, life-giving, Spirit-filled, centered way. You have no idea how much respect I have for a leader that can do that, a leader at that level. So anyway, you just don't know. So here's my question to you. I've had experiences where I strongly believed one thing because that was the only way I heard it. And then as time went on and I read the Word and studied it more deeply, studied it for myself, listened to others share their perspective, my thoughts changed. Like even on the gifts, I used to be like way excessive on the gifts end, and being a part of the Free Methodist Church brought me sort of back to the middle, like moderate biblical way of looking at stuff. Like there have been other areas too, where just over time through the Word, through deeper study of the Word, through the Holy Spirit leading and guiding as I studied the Word, through others patiently sharing with me and teaching and discipling, where, you know, it has happened where I had some beliefs that were this, and then the Lord just gently changed them, molded them, brought me to a more sound, balanced biblical view. And I'm so grateful for that. It makes me a better pastor, better teacher because of it. So here's my question to you. 2 questions. Number 1, has there been any experience like that for you in any area of your Christian walk, where you had a view that was here, and then through deep Bible study, prayer, Holy Spirit leading you, other people gently teaching you, it shifted over here? That's one question. Any area. The second question is specifically regarding the gifts of the Spirit. Have your views as you've grown and matured in Jesus, your views on the gifts of the Spirit changed? And if so, how? Were they excessive on the don't touch end, and they came to the middle ground? Were they excessive on the it's everything end and came back to the middle? Just, was that your experience? If so, I'd love to hear it. I think others would grow from hearing it. So those are your 2 questions, guys. Think about it, ponder on it, pray about it, and let's get a conversation rolling. All right? Love this time with you guys. Hope you have a wonderful week. Hello, Kepper. Saw you jump on there. Hey, Barb, Kisner. You guys have an awesome week. Love y'all. And looking forward to our conversation. I'll see you when I see you. Bye-bye. If I could hit the finish button, let's try again. Bye-bye.